Oh, where do I even begin? For years, I genuinely believed I was doing everything right. Work hard, save every penny, be responsible. That's the blueprint for success, isn't it? That's what I told myself anyway, as I slogged through 60-hour work weeks at my accounting firm, year after year. My name is Hannah Mitchell. I'm 30 years old, single, and as of 2 weeks ago, the proud owner of my very own apartment. It's a milestone I never thought I'd reach, not like this. When my grandmother passed away, she left me a modest inheritance, not a life-changing fortune, but enough to make a significant dent in the cost of a home. Combine that with the savings I'd been meticulously building since my first job at 22, and I was ready to make my dream a reality. I lived frugally, to put it mildly. Picture me in a cramped, dimly lit studio apartment, packing the same turkey sandwich for lunch every day and politely declining invitations to join friends on lavish vacations. While they were posting sun-soaked Instagram photos from Bali or splurging on designer clothes, I was working overtime, funneling every extra dollar into my savings account. It wasn't glamorous, but it was my plan. And it worked. After years of discipline, I had $300,000, enough to buy my dream apartment outright. No mortgage, no debt, just mine. It's a cozy 2-bedroom place, about 10 minutes from my office, in a neighborhood that's not exactly upscale, but definitely on the rise. The previous owners had questionable taste, think garish floral wallpaper straight out of the 1970s, and a kitchen screaming for an update. But I didn't care. This was my space, my achievement, my sanctuary. I decided to tackle the renovations myself, partly to save money and partly because I wanted to make this place truly my own. YouTube tutorials became my evening ritual, my entertainment, my education. I'd spend hours scraping off that hideous wallpaper, paint flecks in my hair, feeling a sense of pride with every strip I peeled away. It was hard work, but it felt good, empowering. Like I was carving out my future with my own 2 hands. One evening, as I was wrist-deep in wallpaper paste, my phone rang. It was my mom. "Hannah, dear, I need you to come over next Saturday for a family meeting," she said, her voice dripping with that faux casual tone she uses when she's plotting something. "Family meeting? What's going on?" I asked, pausing my work, a scraper still in my hand. "Oh, it's a surprise. Just make sure you're there by 4 p.m. And bring one of those chocolate cakes from that bakery near your new place," she replied. "Mom, seriously, what's this about?" I pressed, my suspicion growing. "Just a little family gathering. Your sister will be there with Kevin, and I've invited your aunts, uncles, and cousins too," she said. My eyebrows shot up. The entire extended family for a little gathering? "Mom, it's a secret, Hannah. A surprise. Just be there, okay?" And then she hung up. I shrugged it off and returned to my wallpaper battle. Whatever drama my mom was cooking up could wait. I had a home to transform. My sister, Lily, is 27, 3 years younger than me, and she's been dating Kevin for about 4 years. They live in a rented apartment downtown, a trendy spot that suits Lily's carefree vibe. Unlike me, Lily has always had an easier time of things. In high school, she was the cheerleader, the golden girl, while I was the debate team nerd, always in the background. She dropped out of college to find herself, while I powered through my accounting degree, working late nights and weekends. And somehow, our parents never seemed to mind her choices. Growing up, it was always Lily this and Lily that. When we both had dance recitals one weekend, guess whose performance they attended? When we graduated, Lily got a massive party for finishing high school, while my college graduation earned me a quiet dinner at Olive Garden. For my 16th birthday, I got a used bike. The next year, Lily got a car for hers. When I asked why, my parents said, "Lily needs more help getting around to her social activities." As if my debate tournaments and library volunteering didn't matter. I've never been one to make a scene. Instead, I worked harder, saved more, and proved I could take care of myself. It wasn't about resentment. It was about survival. I wanted to build a life I could be proud of, one that didn't depend on anyone else's approval. That week, I threw myself into my apartment renovations. I finally got all the wallpaper down and started priming the walls for painting. Every blister on my hands felt like a badge of honor, a testament to my independence. By the time Saturday rolled around, I'd finished painting the living room, a soft, calming gray that made the space feel like home. I stopped by the bakery as requested, picking up a decadent chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, my mom's favorite. As I drove to my childhood home, I couldn't shake the nagging question, what was this family meeting really about? My parents' house is a charming two-story colonial, a gift from my grandmother's will to Lily and me. We'd let our parents continue living there, of course, it never occurred to me to do otherwise. That house held a lifetime of memories, some warm, some painful. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed several familiar cars, Uncle Steve's beat-up truck, Aunt Karen's minivan, and my cousin Derek's motorcycle leaning against the garage. This wasn't just a family meeting, it was a full-blown family affair. I took a deep breath, grabbed the cake box, and walked inside. "Hannah's here," my mom called out as I stepped through the door. She gave me a quick hug, her perfume overwhelming, and whisked the cake from my hands. Perfect timing. "We're just about to sit down." I glanced around the living room. Lily and Kevin were cozied up on the couch, whispering to each other, their hands intertwined. My dad was deep in conversation with Uncle Steve in the corner. Aunt Karen and my cousins were already drifting toward the dining room. "What's going on?" I asked Lily as I approached. She gave me a mysterious smile. "You'll see." That did nothing to ease the unease creeping up my spine. We gathered in the dining room, where my mom had set the table with her finest china, the kind she only used for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Whatever this announcement was, it was a big deal. I took a seat next to my cousin Derek, who looked as puzzled as I felt. "Do you know what this is about?" I whispered. He shook his head. "No clue. Your mom just said it's some big news." The food was passed around, pot roast, creamy mashed potatoes, crisp green beans, and the chocolate cake sat proudly at the table's center, waiting for dessert. Everyone made small talk, carefully sidestepping whatever was looming. Finally, my mother stood up, tapping her glass with a spoon. "I want to thank you all for coming today," she said, her smile radiant. "We have some wonderful news to share." She stood at the head of the table, her eyes fixed on Lily. "Our dear Lily is pregnant." The room erupted in cheers and congratulations. Lily blushed, and Kevin wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "And they're getting engaged," Mom continued. "Wedding plans will follow soon." I clapped along with everyone else, genuinely happy for my sister despite our complicated history. "Congratulations, Lily," I said, smiling across the table, but my mom wasn't done. She exchanged a glance with my dad and Lily, then turned to me with an expression that made my stomach lurch. "That's not all," she said, her voice slicing through the chatter. The room fell quiet. "As you all know, Hannah recently bought herself an apartment." The relatives nodded, some offering half-hearted congratulations they hadn't bothered with when I first shared the news. "Hannah is 30 years old and single," Mom went on, her tone pointed. "No husband, no children, not even a boyfriend." My face burned. Why was she airing my personal life like this? Lily, on the other hand, is about to start a family. She and Kevin need a place of their own, not some rented apartment. My heart pounded as the pieces fell into place. I glanced at Lily and Kevin, who were staring at their plates, avoiding my gaze. Mom turned to me, her smile now sharp and calculated. "Hannah, this is your chance to show how much you love your sister, how generous and kind you are. I think you should give your new apartment to Lily and Kevin." The dining room went silent. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline, but none came. "You can go back to renting," she added casually, as if she wasn't asking me to give away my $300,000 dream. "You don't need all that space just for yourself." I looked around the table. My dad nodded in agreement. Lily finally met my eyes, her expression a mix of embarrassment and expectation. "That's a wonderful idea," Aunt Karen piped up. "Family should always come first." Several relatives murmured their approval. This wasn't a suggestion, it was a planned ambush. "You're not serious," I said, my voice trembling with disbelief. "Of course I am," my mom replied, her tone hardening. "Your sister needs it more than you do." I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. "Let me get this straight. You want me to give Lily my apartment? The apartment I worked 60-hour weeks for years to afford? The apartment I bought with my inheritance from grandma and the savings I scraped together for 8 years? You want me to just hand it over because Lily got pregnant? Hannah, my dad cut in, his voice a warning. Don't be selfish. Selfish. I laughed, the sound hollow and bitter. I worked for that apartment. Every single penny. No one helped me. But Lily needs, my mom started. No, I interrupted, my voice steady now. Absolutely not. I will not give my apartment to Lily. It's mine. I earned it. Lily burst into tears, her hand dramatically pressed to her stomach. Kevin glared at me like I'd committed a crime. How can you be so heartless? My mom demanded, her face flushed with anger. Your own sister. How can you ask me to give away everything I've worked for? I shot back. Why doesn't Lily work and save like I did? The relatives began whispering, so materialistic, always was the difficult one. You've always been like this, my mom spat. Always thinking only of yourself. I'm not giving her my apartment, I said firmly. End of discussion. What happened next still plays in my mind like a scene from a bad movie. My mom grabbed the chocolate cake I'd brought, the one sitting untouched in the center of the table, and hurled it at me with shocking force. It hit me square in the face, creamy frosting and chocolate crumbs splattering across my cheeks, dripping down my neck and staining my blouse. The room went deathly silent. I slowly wiped the frosting from my eyes, letting chunks of cake fall to the floor. I looked at my dad and Lily, expecting shock or horror, but they seemed almost pleased, as if I'd finally gotten what I deserved. Without a word, I grabbed my purse and keys and walked out, cake still smeared across my clothes and hair. Behind me, the shouting began. Selfish bastard, my mom screamed. We should disown you, my dad called after me. How could you do this to me? Lily wailed. My hands shook so badly I could barely turn the key in my car's ignition. Somehow, I managed to drive home, the frosting drying on my skin, a sticky reminder of the betrayal. I collapsed onto my old, second-hand couch, the one I'd brought from my rental, and tried to process what had just happened. My phone started buzzing almost immediately. Texts and calls flooded in from my parents and Lily. You're being ridiculous. Just give her the apartment. I can't believe how selfish you're being right now. After everything we've done for you, your pregnant sister needs a home. I turned off my phone and tossed it aside. What had they ever done for me? My entire life, I'd been second best to Lily. When we needed school clothes, Lily got brand names. I got clearance rack finds. When we both wanted summer camps, they paid for Lily's art camp but said my debate camp was too expensive. For her 16th birthday, they threw her a lavish party with a DJ. For mine, I got a homemade cake and 2 relatives. And now they expected me to give her my apartment, the one thing I'd achieved entirely on my own. Then I thought about the house we were in just an hour ago, my grandmother's house, the one she left equally to Lily and me. We'd let our parents live there out of kindness, never asking for rent or anything in return. I was half owner of that house, just as Lily was. Suddenly, I knew exactly what I needed to do. The next morning, I woke up with a plan. I dug through my filing cabinet until I found the folder labeled Grandma's Will. Inside was the document confirming that Lily and I each owned 50% of our parents' house. They were living there by our goodwill, not by legal right. I was about to call a lawyer when my phone pinged with a Facebook notification. My mother had tagged me in a post. With dread, I opened the app and read her words. It breaks my heart to share this, but sometimes family disappoints you in the worst ways. Yesterday, my daughter Hannah refused to help her pregnant sister Lily when she needed it most. Despite having the means to help, Hannah chose selfishness over family. As a mother, I've never been more heartbroken. Please pray for Hannah to find compassion in her heart. The post had dozens of comments from relatives and family friends. I was there. Hannah was horrifically cruel to poor Lily. Some people just don't understand what family means. Keeping an apartment all to herself when her sister is pregnant. Shameful. Not one mentioned the cake my mother threw at my face. Not one questioned why I should give up my hard-earned apartment. My mother was liking and responding to the most vicious comments, orchestrating a public shaming campaign against me. That was the moment something broke inside me. The last thread of familial loyalty snapped. I called the first real estate attorney I found, Blackwell Law Office. "I need to speak with a lawyer about property rights," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. 2 hours later, I was sitting across from Jeremy Blackwell, a sharp-eyed man in his 50s. I explained everything: the apartment, the family meeting, the cake, the Facebook post. "Let me get this straight," he said. "You and your sister inherited a house from your grandmother. You've allowed your parents to live there rent-free. Now, after they demanded you give your apartment to your sister and publicly humiliated you when you refused, you want to know your options regarding the house." "Yes," I confirmed. "I don't want to be vindictive, but they've shown me no respect. I need to know my rights." Jeremy reviewed the will. "It's clear-cut. You and your sister each own 50% of the property. You can request that the house be sold and the proceeds split between you and your sister." "What's the process?" I asked. "I'll draft a formal notice stating your intention to sell your half of the property. Your sister can either buy you out at fair market value, or the entire house will need to be sold and the proceeds divided. Your parents legally have no say in the matter." I took a deep breath. "Do it." For the next few days, I focused on my apartment renovations, ripping out old carpet and keeping my mind off the family drama. I blocked their numbers temporarily. I needed space to think. 5 days after meeting Jeremy, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw my parents, Lily, and Kevin standing in the hallway. I didn't open the door. "Hannah, we know you're in there," my mother shouted. "Open this door right now. We need to talk about this ridiculous letter," my father boomed. I pressed record on my phone's voice memo app. "You ungrateful bastard," my mother screamed. "You're trying to make your pregnant sister homeless." Lily cried. "This is low even for you," Kevin added. I recorded every insult, every threat, for nearly 15 minutes until they left. I sent the recording to Jeremy, who called immediately. "This is harassment," he said. "We can file for a restraining order if necessary. But more importantly, their behavior strengthens our position." A week later, Jeremy had news. Your parents' lawyer reached out. They want to mediate. The mediation was set for the following Monday at Jeremy's office. I arrived early, dressed in a navy blue pantsuit, feeling like I was heading into battle. "Remember," Jeremy said, "you have every legal right to do this. Don't let them make you feel guilty." My parents, Lily, and Kevin arrived with their lawyer. My mother glared at me, hissing "traitor" as she passed. The mediation was tense. Their lawyer argued that selling the house would cause hardship. Jeremy countered with the recorded harassment and social media posts. After 2 hours, the lawyers proposed a settlement. The house would be sold, and the proceeds divided equally between Lily and me, as per our grandmother's will. My mother burst into tears. "Please, Hannah," she sobbed, switching tactics. "We're your family. How can you do this to us?" "I'm sorry about the cake." I lost my temper. I looked at her, remembering every slight, every moment I'd been pushed aside for Lily. "The house will be sold," I said quietly. "That's final." 2 months later, the house sold quickly in a hot market. After closing costs, Lily and I each received just over $175,000. I never spoke directly to my family during this time. Communication went through our lawyers. Jeremy told me my parents were furious, but powerless. They'd been living in a house they didn't own, contributing nothing beyond basic upkeep. "What are they going to do now?" I asked. "Your sister is using her share as a down payment on a new house," Jeremy explained. "Your parents will move in with her and Kevin. They've secured a mortgage for the remainder." I nodded, feeling a mix of guilt and vindication. Part of me wondered if I'd gone too far, but the memory of the cake in my face, the public shaming, silenced those doubts. I met with a financial advisor to invest my share in a diversified portfolio: stocks, bonds, real estate trusts. It was a smart move, a foundation for my future. Back at my apartment, the renovation was nearly complete. Hardwood floors gleamed, new appliances sparkled in the kitchen, and modern light fixtures cast a warm glow. It was mine in every sense, a testament to my resilience. One evening, my friend Sarah from work called. "Hannah, how are you doing?" she asked, concerned. I'd told her about the cake incident after showing up to work with red eyes. "I'm okay," I said, realizing it was true. "The house sale is final. The money's in my account." "And your family?" she asked. I sighed. "That's still a mess. I haven't spoken to them. I hear things through mutual friends, though." "What kind of things?" she pressed. "Lily's wedding was last month, a small ceremony. I wasn't invited, obviously." "I'm sorry, Hannah." "Don't be. I wouldn't have gone anyway." And I meant it. "She's due to give birth next week, a boy." "And you're okay with not seeing your nephew?" Sarah asked. I paused. "He'll grow up hearing I'm the villain who wouldn't give up her apartment and made them sell their house. They won't mention how they treated me my entire life." "Families are complicated," Sarah said. "That's putting it mildly," I replied, laughing without humor. "The thing is, I don't think they ever saw me as family. I was just useful, someone to sacrifice when needed." "Do you think you'll ever reconcile?" she asked. "Not unless they acknowledge what they did and apologize," I said, knowing it would never happen. My parents had favored Lily their entire lives. They wouldn't change now. Later, I poured a glass of wine and stepped onto my balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in vibrant oranges and pinks. A text came through from a mutual friend. Lily had the baby. 7 pounds, 6 ounces. Everyone's fine. I stared at the message, waiting for sadness or regret, but I felt only a distant acknowledgement, like news about a stranger. Lily, Kevin, the baby, and my parents were now living together in a house bought with Lily's share and a 30-year mortgage they'd be paying into their retirement. I couldn't muster sympathy. They'd shown me where I stood, not as a daughter or sister, but as a resource to exploit. My apartment was quiet, but not lonely, peaceful. The walls I'd painted, the floors I'd installed, every inch represented my independence, my refusal to be used. On my bookshelf sat a small box with photos of my grandmother and me. She'd always treated Lily and me equally, perhaps seeing the favoritism I endured and trying to balance the scales with her will. "Thank you, Grandma," I whispered, touching the box. As for my family, I had no desire to reach out. The ball was in their court, and I knew it would stay there. I'd always thought family meant unconditional love and support. Now I understood that real family, blood or not, would never ask you to sacrifice everything for their gain. They'd never throw a cake in your face when you refused to burn. My phone stayed silent, no apologies from my mother, no acknowledgement from my father, no gratitude from Lily for the years I spent in her shadow. And that was fine. I had my apartment, my investments, my career, and friends who cared about me. I had a life I'd built brick by brick, dollar by dollar, a life that was finally, truly mine. Please feel free to comment below if you liked this. Remember to like and subscribers for more.